Speaker is Ren, and you are going to be doing your speech number 3
Yes,
on
sir.
Get to the Point. Do you have a topic?
Positivity.
Positivity. Okay. Ren on positivity, 5 to 7 minute speech.
We're ready? Okay.
Ren, positivity.
The power of positive mind. I'm sure we've all heard this saying before, but what do you think it really means to think positively? What do you think it could do for you to think positively? I have not always been a positive thinker. Maybe I thought I'd like to be, but positive thinking is a muscle. It's an exercise that you have to practice. It's something that you have to pay conscious effort to in order to be a positive thinker. Thinking positively can be have a huge influence on your life. It can help you achieve goals. It can help you chase dreams that you thought were perhaps unattainable. What does being a positive thinker look like? For me, being a positive thinker is just having a positive outlook on life. If something negative comes into your life, you don't dwell on that negativity, but instead spin it and think, what can I learn from this negative situation that's going to bring a positive change into my life? Let's say perhaps you get into a car wreck tonight leaving. Heaven forbid that anyone does, but you pull out and you back into someone's bumper. How could you spin that to be positive? Well, perhaps they were going to be texting and driving later and run a red light and get killed. We would never want to see that happen, but if you look at it in that light, you just saved their life somehow. Thinking positively all the time means that you're going to have to take conscious effort to remove those negative thoughts in your mind. I'll give you an example. This morning on my way to work, my mom called me nagging about something. I can't remember what it was. But instead of reacting in a negative manner, I stopped, took a really deep breath, and said, "Mother, I love you. I'll call you later." Now, what are the long-term effects of what I did there? Number one, I didn't cause more friction with my mom by arguing with her. I could have said some mean and hurtful things, which most people probably would have. They would have been, "Shut up, Mom. I'm going to work." But that would have brought no good to anyone. And we laugh, but we've heard people talk to their loved ones like that before. It's actually pretty common, to say hurtful things to people you love. Maybe it's easy to vent on them. But what could that have done for her day? That could have made her be mean to someone else, or that could have made her, emotionally scarred. That could have damaged our relationship for a long-term effect. But instead, I took the positive and I thought, well, maybe she just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and I told her I loved her and I hung up the phone. So I took what could have been a very negative situation and spun it into a positive situation. We all as people, I think the mind is wired to protect you at all costs. Throughout the evolution of humans, even back from the caveman days, if something happens, an event occurs, a tree falls on you, or a tree falls close to you, your brain is wired to go into the fight or flight mode. So I think that over time, we have these negative emotions that come in mind to protect ourselves from being hurt, either physically or mentally. So understanding this and realizing that you don't have to think this way, that you can think more in a positive light, can really impact who you are as a person. We all probably know someone that's just negative all the time, right? Any situation that happens, they tend to shed a negative light on it. But do any of us know that really positive person that no matter what happens, they tend to really just be positive and optimistic about it? Which one would you rather hang out with, that positive person or that negative person? So I think that staying positive translates into your life in so many different ways. It makes you a better spouse, a better parent, a better coworker, a better friend. So what are some ways that you could stay positive throughout your day? What can you do as a person to make sure that you're staying positive? Well, one thing that I do is anytime a negative thought comes into my mind, I automatically replace it with some type of positive thought. And this really will help carry you through your day in a way that you never thought was possible before. There's been many times in my life where things weren't going right. Perhaps I didn't get this sale at work, or I lost my AirPods, which I do all the time. But you have to look at it in a sense that, if I lost that sale, maybe my business really could not serve that client and meet their needs, and we would have let them down in the long run. So positioning your mindset in that way can just dramatically alter your life, your perspective, and increase your quality of living to a positive effect, I think. Not only can it increase your quality of living, but it could also increase those around you and your sphere of influence. So, one thing I try to do every morning when I wake up my daughter is just wake her up with like this huge burst of sunshine. Like as soon as she wakes up, like we're singing and dancing, and I think it really sets the tone.
Hey, sorry, can I interrupt you? Do we have a Lawrence Compton up here?
Yes.
Can you call your wife? It's important.
So I think it really sets the tone for the
I'm sorry, I
day,
know your first name.
and then how you're going to be throughout, how you're going to affect people. So I challenge everyone here, when a negative thought comes into your mind, immediately replace it with something positive. No matter what it is or how bad things are, there is always a way to make a positive spin on that. So that's my challenge to you all the rest of this week. Be positive.
Okay, that was a good speech, Ren, on positivity. Our next scheduled speaker for tonight has been a Toastmaster for approximately 2 years between two clubs. And you presented yourself well last week when you were the Toastmaster, and you telling things about yourself and how Toastmasters helped you improve in 2 languages. But tonight, the second speaker is Yu Ying, and her speech is on abortion, and it's come from the Competent Communicator Manual, project number 3, Get to the Point.
Today I would like to talk about abortion. Abortion in China is acceptable, especially when we have a policy about one family have one child. So if you are pregnant, if pregnant, you have no choice. You have to. If you already have one child, you have no abortion. You have to do abortion. But right now we change the policy. The family can have more than one child. But today I would like to talk the abortion about the very special situation. This situation is the fetus with a severe abnormality. The manager of a fetus abnormality always puts a pregnant woman and her partner in a dilemma, as well as their physician, when they must decide what to do. The people's decision is based on not only the medical matters but also ethical issue. If they're living in the country, this country is a dominant religion is Christianity. To many Christian, abortion is considered as the murder because the fetus is a life. However, the argument about the abortion become more complicated when the fetus with a severe abnormality. The final decision like what to do with this fetus, sometimes you cannot satisfy both medical matters and ethical issue. Who make this final decision and which issues are most important is also arguable. When I talk about abortion, this situation, the first, I would like to say this diagnosis is accurate, no problem. The fetus has problem. And the second one, this problem cannot treatable. So this, the situation like this. And also the prognosis is not good. Some sample, for example, the baby would be like stillborn. Like some baby is died at a very early age. The third sample, like even the child can born, and but the quality of life is very low. So based on this situation, I think a pregnant woman and her partner would be treated with sympathy and understanding if they intend to terminate pregnancy. No matter what culture or religion constraints exist, the basic ethical principle is respect for the pregnant woman's autonomy. In some sense, abortion has been condemned if a fetus is normal, because the normal fetus has a much greater potential to live a full and healthy life. However, the abnormal fetus is much less likely to have a healthy life and sometimes puts pregnant women at risk when they are in labor. At this point, so medical issues should be considered. First, there is a distinguish between the abortion and the medical determination of pregnancy. The latter focus on the woman's health care. Another thing that we need to consider about a burden. This is a family burden and a social burden, societal burden. For the baby with a problem like congenital disease, this family will spend much more money and time. And also some child even cannot survive out of the hospital. The child need in hospital. So this is the burden to the society. And also there's some problem like the child cannot survive a long time, like death very early. And this is very, very painful for the parents, sibling, relative, even this child know the death coming to him or her inevitably. So with diagnosis, when diagnosis is accurate, abnormality are treatable, so abortion should be acceptable. The management of the abnormal factors concern not only ethical, political, cultural issues, but also potential burden to the family and the society, as well as the quality of the child. Ultimately, a pregnant woman has a priority right to make the final decision.
All right, thank you, Yu Ying. That was an interesting speech. At this time, we'll go into our table topics. And our table topics master for tonight is Maurice. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and no guests. For table topics tonight, my particular table topics weren't in line with the theme that Lawrence had for tonight, but it's more in the theme of what Ren's speech theme was, positivity. Any volunteers? Okay, Lane?
Yes. Can someone time?
What do you most look forward to in 2018?
Okay. Mr. Toastmaster. Good evening. So what would I look forward to most in the year 2018? I think that's a very good question. There's a lot of different things that I have planned. I don't know if I would actually accomplish them by 2018, but I will try for sure. I guess when I look forward to the future, it helps for me to look back at my past a little bit. So up until this point, just to give you a little bit of history about myself, I've been with the company that I work for about 4 years now, coming up on 4 years. And I just now reached the point where I could have my own office. So that helped out a lot. And right now, I've been trying to work to get that office more in line with how I was doing business in the past, right? So getting it organized, working with clients who I think appreciate good advice, want to work with us, and we want to work with them. So what I'd like to see in 2018 would be moving more towards that goal and having a more organized office where we're able to work with clients, give good advice to them, but also too in terms of goals outside of work, paying more down on my mortgage. I know that's a big exciting thing for a lot of folks in here. You know, working towards that. Maybe a car down the road if I can afford one. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for in 2018. So thanks for having me.
Thanks. Okay, I can next volunteer. Okay, yeah. What do you think is your highlight for 2017 that you could build upon in 2018?
All right, I kind of lucked out. This is an easy one for me. Got my license and stuck it at a brokerage in January of 2017, so January marked the start of my new adventure. Learned a lot since January. It's been an awesome year. I found myself doing things I never thought I would have done. And moving into 2018, we kind of build off this momentum and keep going. Not really sure where I'll end up, but just keep enjoying it. Some of the big achievements I've made, I guess, doing different organizations like Toastmasters. Didn't think I was going to be talking and speaking in front of people. It's definitely not my comfort zone. Kind of found myself a bit adventitiously here. Not sure if that was used right, but it feels good. That's about it. I think definitely looking forward to 2018, and 2017's been great. We're gonna keep the show going. Thank you.
Okay, next volunteer. Okay, Cody. Pick one of these two objects.
So one of these are gonna come out. I'll take this guy.
Okay, squeeze it in the middle. Okay, what does that make you think of? Or
Okay.
come to mind.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. So I've been given a token of super customer service from the company Avonic. So I would never thought this would be an Avonic advertisement because they're typically purple, and yeah, I don't know what this has to do with chemicals, but so I think what Avonic is trying to achieve with this action figure is saying that they do a super job at customer service. So I imagine that in Avonic's values, right, what they want to achieve for a corporation, I'm sure customer service ranks top in what their company stands for. And I think that's very important. I think many companies that deal with customers need to have that as a priority. You kind of look at some of the really successful companies over the past 10 years that really focus on customer service, such as maybe a Zappos and, you know, Amazon in a way by providing people with cheap, fast delivery. So it's very important if you're thinking about starting a company to really think of what the customer might want and to always
Okay, I think we'll do at least two more. Okay, any volunteers? Okay. Rachel.
Oh boy.
What does this make you think of, or what does it bring, what type of thoughts does this bring to mind?
Right. Well, considering that tomorrow's Halloween, this reminds me of an M&M. And I'm hoping that it's filled with peanut butter because that is my favorite flavor. I also enjoy peanut M&Ms. And last week I was up for 34 seconds, so I'm shooting for a little bit longer than that this week. This also makes me think of the Blue Man Group with this little smiley face there. I've never been to that, but I do love a good theater. And it also makes me think of Ren's fantastic speech earlier about positivity and bringing more smiles into your life. And I'm gonna guess that's about 34 seconds.
Okay, one more.
A lot of peanut butter down there.
Okay, any volunteers?
I guess that was the only
Okay. What event in 2017 ended up being negative that you could turn around and make positive from here on forward?
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Good evening. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. There aren't any guests here. I think because when I'm thinking in my mind, I was able to print those agendas and kind of do some things in the website. But I'm a teacher for Mobile County Public School System, and I teach business education. And so we were under BIC, which is Business Industry Credentialing. And so if we don't, that's where essentially all of our funding comes from. And they came last week. And so we were scrambling, and when I say she combed through everything. So my immediate supervisor came by and was like, come on, Mika, we got to do this, we got to do that. So we had someone who was a stickler for, which everything was fine, and we passed, thank God for that. But
just, it taught me they won't be back for another several years, but just getting prepared for it, making certain we've met all the criteria. We had our advisory board together. And so that, I wouldn't say it was a negative going in initially, being new to Mobile County system as a teacher, having to go through such a review, and then we pass it and do well. So that I would say a negative that came in initially as a negative that was turned to a positive. So going forward, when they come back, we'll definitely be more prepared. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, that'll be it for our table topics. At this time, we will go into our evaluation period, and our general evaluator for tonight is Mickey.
Okay, do I do it here?
You have to come.
Oh, I have to
Yes.
come up. Okay,
Yes.
there's no worries. Okay, good evening again. I'm Mickey Seltzer, General Evaluator. We started, I know he probably caught that. We started at 6:51. The meeting was called to order by Lawrence. It was 6 minutes later than usual, but of course it was voted upon and approved to start 6 minutes to allow additional members to come in. We chose the word of the day. The Toastmaster introduced himself, which was Lawrence, and he actually called the meeting to order. Lawrence then introduced the first speaker of the evening, which was Ren. He did his third speech, get to the point, titled Positivity, that was scheduled from 5 to 7 minutes. Due to an unforeseen emergency, he had to leave. Then we had Mr. Maurice Hindenburg step in as our Toastmaster and introducing our second speaker, which was Yu Ying, who did her third speech, which was get to the point, titled the title was Abortion. At that point, Mr. Maurice Hindenburg is stepping in as our Toastmaster, leading our table topics. We had Lane, is it Lane?
Yes.
Yannick, Cody, and Rachel, and myself do a table topic. So that's essentially our meeting this evening. So I'll turn it over to Mr.
Turn it to the first evaluator.
First evaluator, I'm sorry. That's going to be Mr. Cody. All right, thank you, sir.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. So I have the pleasure of evaluating Ren's speech tonight. So we have to give Ren credit. He threw that together short notice, so very good. So this is get to the point, and the title of his speech was Positivity. So for this section, it's number 3 out of the Competent Communicator. It's really just kind of creating an intro, body, conclusion, and speaking a specific point or purpose that you want to get out to your audience. So there's some questions, some guidelines on what I was to grade them on. Was the general purpose of the speech clear? Yes. The specific purpose of the speech was clear. The speech organization supported specific purpose. I said yes. Main points supported the purpose of the speech. Yes. Did it have a beginning, body, and conclusion? I'd say it's satisfactory on this one, mainly because it was, kind of thrown together. Could have had maybe a little more clear body, but other than that, it was pretty good. He had a good start and end, so I like those two things. Speaker achieved specific purpose, yes, promoting positivity and gave some personal stories. The speaker appeared confident, sincere, minimal nervousness. Yes, definitely. Hardly any notes used. That was good. Did the speaker rely on notes throughout the speech? No notes as mentioned. So what could the speaker have done a little differently? So kind of going back to what's spur of the moment, but maybe a little more clear and defined body. That's really my only critique. And considering you had no prep, it was still good. And just maybe a tip. So your body language is pretty good already. Like you have good eye contact with the audience and good hand motions. But maybe to enhance, you could do a little walking. Get off from the podium. It's allowed. So maybe on the future speech to give a little more enhancement and maybe prove a point more. Kind of hammer home with some motion on the stage. So what I like about the presentation, good personal stories. Those are always great. So we can relate to you. You kind of came up with one that It's very relatable to everyone that happened today. Good audience, eye contact, I like that. No notes, so it's really good for your third speech. So not a lot of people can do that this early on, and giving actions to the audience, so you're left with something to take away, which is always great. So good job, man, thank you.
Good, thank you. Okay, thank you, Cody. We will now have Miss Rachel Regal. She's going to evaluate Yu Ying.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have the pleasure of providing some feedback on Yu Ying's fantastic speech about abortion. And when I first saw the title, I thought, oh goodness, abortion is such a hot topic. But Yu Ying did an absolutely beautiful job of creating a discussion and bringing up some really valid points in a respectful way. So for the first point here, the general purpose of the speech was clear. I rated that as excellent. You set the scene with the title, and in the first few sentences we had a very clear idea of what you'd be speaking with us tonight. The second criteria was a specific purpose. You also helped set the scene for us that you'd be talking about when abortion is acceptable. And then for the remainder of the speech, for speech organization, supported purpose, you went on to detail the points when abortion is acceptable. You also took a comprehensive view, so you detailed, well, first of all, let me go back. I think I really liked how you set the conditions first for the type of scenario that we were considering. I think that was really important in order to move forward in the speech, and you did that at the beginning, which helped streamline the rest of it. For main points and supporting material contributed to speech purpose, yes, you did a fantastic job in illuminating a lot of different issues from the medical side, ethical, including a woman's right to autonomy, cultural, and political. You really gave a full package for us to view abortion through. So for beginning, body, and conclusion reinforce a specific purpose. I liked how you acknowledged the context in China and also in the United States. I found that really interesting, and drawing from your strengths in two cultures, I really enjoyed that facet that you brought tonight. I also, there was so much good information that it could have been helpful at the beginning to have a little bit more of an idea of what areas you would be going into, because there was just so much there. It would have been great to have an idea as we're going through all these ideas. For a speaker achieve the specific purpose, I rated that as excellent. And for a speaker appeared confident and sincere with minimal nervousness, I didn't catch too much nervousness tonight. And your sincerity was really present, so I really enjoyed that about your speech. It's very clear that you're knowledgeable about this topic. For did not rely on notes, I sure would have loved to see in your eyes a little bit more. I think part of the strengths of this speech was how detailed and comprehensive it was, and so I imagine that part of the difficulty was making sure you covered all those points. So what could the speaker have done differently to make the speech more effective? I thought the speech overall was very powerful and well thought out. I was really fully engaged, and at times I found it distracting if you were reading your notes, and so that was harder for me to stay engaged in such a well thought out speech. What did you like about the presentation? I loved it. I really enjoyed how you brought such a respectful and comprehensive view of abortion. So that's all I have. Thank you for your speech.
Yeah, go ahead. We're married in time, they can stay in place.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this time, we will have the timers report and the grammarian, and you all are able to feel free to remain seated.
Okay. All right. I'm laying out the timer, and had one job, and I failed at it. So apparently, I didn't know you're supposed to time the evaluation speeches, so sorry about that. Ren did very good. He came in at 6 minutes, 20 seconds, right in the middle there. Yu Ying, a little over, not by much though, 7 minutes and 41 seconds. Mine was at 1 minute, 38 seconds. Yannick, that's that right?
Yes.
Yannick, okay. 1 minute, 9 seconds, so on time for the table topics. Rachel, close, 46 seconds. Better than last week, yeah, we're still getting there. And then Mickey, very good at 1 minute, 22 seconds. So, very good. And then the evaluation speeches, they were right on time. So. Yeah. Very good.
Mr. Grammarian, correct?
Oh, Yannick.
Oh, Yannick, I'm sorry.
No worries. My name's Yannick. I was a grammarian for the evening. And we're going to start off with the counter report, which keeps track of filler words, such as you know, and more of the like. Starting off with Ren, had 2 you knows and 2 ums. I found that very impressive considering you just winged it and it was a pocket speech, so very good. Moving on to Yu Ying, had 8 uhs. I think I was having a bit of a hard time because I wasn't sure sometimes whether it was an accent or you're just looking for the word. But I could tell occasionally there were some where you were definitely trying to fill the space. So I marked those. I think you did very well. And moving over to Lane, did excellent. Didn't catch any of those. Cody, 1. Rachel, none. Mickey, held out. And you did not have any on your speech, but when you returned to the podium, I feel like there's a lot of pent-up filler words, and you just unleashed them afterwards. But very good.
Adventitious. Yeah, out of nowhere.
And moving on to the word of the day report, I didn't really pick up the word of the day very much. I'm not sure if it's because I was kind of sidetracked with filler words. Has anybody else used the word of the day?
You did.
You?
It may have not been accurate. I just kind of threw it out there. What do you guys think on that one?
Yeah. We'll give it to
Still
you.
counts.
All right.
And Lawrence. He kind of mispronounced it, but he
All right. And that's about it for the grammarian report.
Okay. Okay, relinquish left turn.
Okay. Okay, I will relinquish the left turn to our Toastmaster. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I assume no one has an educational overview.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I did print it. There were some tips on the website, but it's more for, I would think, guests as opposed to members.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
for
right.
the most part, just an overview of how the meetings go. That's it essentially.
Okay. Okay, no awards tonight, I don't believe. And I will relinquish the lectern back to the acting president. Since I'm here.
It's you, buddy.
Okay, Vice President of Education, agenda for next week.
November?
Good Ruggle.
Tuesday.
Are you volunteering?
Get choked up.
Yeah, I'll take it for the interruption.
You want another one?
Hey Cody, would you like to be interviewed?
No.
For what?
Just on your, on what you do.
Oh, is this for
Yeah,
your
it'll
speech?
count, yeah, it'll count it'll count towards your bronze.
Yeah, sure. If it's for your next speech, yeah,
Yeah.
we can do that.
Okay. Yeah, me and Cody will do, I'm the interviewer and he's the
Yeah,
interviewer.
so it'd be Maurice, and then I'll help him out. So Maurice, it'd be Maurice's speech, and then I'm
Right,
accessory to it. So
right.
Maurice. Evaluator? We need an evaluator. General evaluator, Toastmaster, table talking master.
I'll do table topics.
Okay.
Actually, sorry, Maurice, I can't do that. I'm going out of town.
Okay,
Next week.
we'll do another, okay, we'll do.
No, wait, no,
Interview me.
no, wait.
I'll be here. I'm here Monday. I'm leaving too. So yeah, sorry. All right.
Oh, okay. All right.
Table topic, yes.
Who wants to be
I'll
a
table topic.
Toastmaster? Table.
Well, you can volunteer someone, well, I mean, you actually have the power to volunteer anyone in the club if they're here or not, you know.
What are we looking for?
Toastmaster.
Is there a script that I may use? Is there one I can print off online, a Toastmaster script, so I know what to say?
Just follow this. Kind of do this.
Yeah, you just follow, yeah, you just take the old agenda with you.
Toastmaster creates their own.
I got it. I'll take
You
it.
good? Okay. Right?
It will help you through it.
Red.
Once you do it a couple times, not too bad.
Gotcha.
General evaluator. We want to be general evaluator. Oh, I can do this.
Okay, alrighty. And what else is left?
Evaluator for the first speak and the second speak. So we need two evaluators.
I'm pretty sure you can pencil in someone who's not here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give Thomas.
You can do one.
Give Thomas Jester or something, so maybe he'll show up.
Yeah. Yep. Yannick.
I'll do something, yeah. What do you got me down
Speak.
for?
The speaker?
Speaker?
Yeah.
All right.
Who is the speaker?
I'll do it.
It's the best
You
one.
evaluate.
Yeah, it's like
Volunteer.
one or two or something, nothing big right
Uh-huh.
now. Coasting.
Okay, another one. We need another evaluator. Oh,
Well,
yes.
yeah, I'm speaking.
Yeah, you can just,
Okay.
yeah, you can assign somebody too.
Okay. Okay, that's.
Okay, thank you.
Grammar and the timer.
I'll be the timer.
You'll be timer again?
Since I messed up.
Timer.
Second timer is the best.
This is my job. This is my permanent job.
It's a permanent job.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Okay. If there is nothing else, 7:38, 7 minutes early, this meeting is adjourned.